Hello and welcome to a very unique YouTube channel conceptualized by most revered Dr. Vishwanath D. Karad, named as Vishwashanti Darshan. This is a very unique and exclusively dedicated channel for world peace. It is indeed a great pleasure and privilege to call upon several renowned personalities and stalwarts from across world, those who are giving their inputs to the various fields of the society. This interaction with such stalwarts is catalyzing our mission, our vision, and our movement for world peace. It is an honor to have another great personality, another great human being, a man who is internationally acclaimed for his work in the field of environment, not only as a strategist, not only as an activist, but also as an actionist. We have with us today the chairman of TERI policy, Dr. Rajendra Shende sir, here with us. Welcome you, sir.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. Sir, I'm sure that this interview with you will definitely motivate several of individuals and thousands of youngsters like me across world. So, sir, we are very curious to know that how was your journey from a small place, as a villager from somewhere from Satara district to director of UNEP and a chairman of TERI policy. Means your journey from a villager to United Nations.
Thank you for inviting me. Indeed, it started at small place, but you know that small is always beautiful, and the big may not be that beautiful. Going to United Nations from such small village is a huge story, and probably my coming autobiography will tell you how that journey was in detail. But let me start by saying that many people feel rag to riches story or rural to urban and then going on a top of the urban scenario. People take a sort of an humble approach on that, and they keep on getting surprised that how such a small village boy could go to such a big level.
Right.
But I think they miss one important fact, that those who come from villages are, at least me, is very proud of that background.
Very interesting.
So I wouldn't like to attract a sympathy by saying that I was from the small village. The very fact that I was from a small village is a matter of a pride for me, because I do believe that villagers do get a chance to respect the nature.
Very
And
interesting.
urban areas, people do not get that chance. Maybe those who come from the rural area may be missing that when they come to the urban area. But you really start learning from the nature first and then from the school in a village.
Absolutely right.
Because many of the schools are also surrounded by the nature. So I had that advantage. Many people say that, okay, what is the richness? Richness is in terms of money. The richness of the country is in a form of GDP, or richness in per capita income of the people there. I don't agree with that at all. I think richness depends on what kind of biodiversity you have around you and what is the nature that you have around you. It's not a question of only green surrounding.
Right.
There are green lessons that we learn, provided you are open to that particular fact. So, coming from the rural area, that was my asset,
Very interesting.
which not many people get it.
Absolutely.
And that asset I used throughout my career. And one of the reasons why I landed in United Nations Environment Program is because the environment is related to the nature, and I had that solid background. I was also lucky in getting into the IIT Bombay.
Wow.
It's not easy at that time to crack that examination. Now you get the news that people are getting 100 percentile. That time it was extremely difficult because there are only 5 IITs that time. Now there are 23, I think, and seats were limited.
Very true.
So getting into that also was difficult because English was one of the papers there. I'm not sure whether English is there or no. But coming from that village background, English was not easy to crack, for me at least. Because the real English, A, B, C, D, we started learning at the age of 13, 14.
Yeah.
And then getting into that kind of a examination of English, which was extremely difficult. But I tried hard and I got into it.
Great.
And after IIT Bombay, by the way, IIT Bombay, I don't know if you have visited that, but it is also surrounded by the nature.
Yeah.
There is a Powai lake,
Right.
a lot of greeneries around you. There is a Tansa lake, which is slightly away from this. So in fact, I thought that this is another village I have come to. I didn't feel that I am coming to Mumbai. It was a village, and I hardly used to go to the city. I will always stay there, either in a library or in my room or trekking around it. Then I got the opportunity to work for Tatas in a private sector, and then through the open competition, I went to United Nations. Normally, from any country, the person going into United Nations is either deputed or you know someone and he is taking you because he feels that he has the right kind of ability. And then you compete. I competed in that through the global selection process.
Oh, excellent.
And I was lucky because it was a United Nations environment program. And again, my rural background was of use to me.
Wow.
So while telling all my that humble background, I don't shed any tears into it. I feel proud that I come from village.
Yes.
And because that helped me every time. Even in United Nations environment program, the kind of activities that I was handling, those activities were also closely related to what I learned in the villages, what I learned in the IITs, and what I learned in Tata.
Oh.
See, working in Tata's was something like taking Tata's DNA in you.
Oh, great.
Not just go there and at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the evening come back. It was not like that.
Yeah.
It was learning the Tata's grammar. Tata has its own grammar than those companies. And that grammar I learned faster than the English grammar which I learned before appearing for IIT examination.
Yeah. Great, sir. Great, sir. So, according to you, sir, what is actual concept of environmental peace and how it's needful in this new era?
See, I have to come back to the nature again. As I told you, many countries today where deforestation or degradation of the soil or degradation of the atmosphere due to the pollution and all that thing. In many countries, they lower the richness of that country. Even if there is a richness, it is temporary. But when you enter into the world of environment only, you start feeling that environment or the nature itself is an asset which should be included in your GDP valuation.
Yeah.
Today, India GDP based on how much we export, how much we sell, and all those things. And the GDP per capita is based on how much income you get, how much I get.
Yeah.
But I totally disagree with this kind of economics. GDP doesn't tell you that you are in a trouble. You may feel that you have per capita income very high, but you may soon be in a trouble because either corona,
Right.
climate change, air pollution, and all those kind of things. And all of these, they surface when we definitely neglect the natural resources that you have.
Very true, sir.
So, you asked me the question about environment and peace. You take any war in this world, conflicts in the world, whether it is Afghanistan, whether it is Syria, whether it is Iraq, whether it is Sudan,
Right.
or whatever small conflicts that you have with Israel and Palestine, all those are related to utilization of natural resources.
Very true, sir. Very true.
After all, the World War II, which was ended by USA by dropping the bombs,
Yeah.
which is not a good way of ending the war.
Wars, right.
But Japan was searching for the natural resources. They don't have, their land is so small. So they wanted to get those natural resources by sort of
Expansion.
occupying or whatever, the imperialism and that kind of thing. So if you start utilizing the natural resources in a balanced way, I'm not talking about a better way,
Right.
I'm saying balanced way.
Yeah.
And what is a balanced way? That is a sustainable way. So the sustainable way, when you utilize those natural resources, you will always find that there is a peace.
Very true.
And the moment there are some greedy people who try to acquire other resources, I mean, if you see the history of the imperialism, it is because the kings who saw that their own resources are insufficient, so go to India, occupy India. So the British became rich, not
Yeah.
because of GDP, because they had a whole nature and biodiversity of India in their pocket.
Very true.
The Belgium went to the Congo because they wanted to get African resources into it. So there are, the imperialism's history is full of greed for natural resources.
Very enlightening.
So there is no doubt that nature's resources are the key fundamental reasons for the war.
Yes, sir.